Joining me on the sofa now is the Conservative MP for Havant, Alan Mak. It's his first term in Parliament and it's certainly been an exciting one. Welcome back on the sofa, Alan. So let's start straight away with kind of one of the biggest things I think people have been talking about over the last month, Brexit. So you obviously campaigned to stay in the European Union. You're obviously a pro-business kind of guy. You launched your campaign on a massive pro-business platform and you worked in City yourself. So how do you sort of feel about it?
Well, great to be back on the show, Charlotte. Fantastic to be on that Solent again. The campaign is now over. The Prime Minister, Theresa May, has been very clear that Brexit now means Brexit, and our job in Parliament and also locally is to make sure that Brexit works for everyone, to make a success of our new arrangements with the European Union.
But how do you feel? You must have been quite disappointed.
I was disappointed. I think that if you work hard for a particular result and it goes a different way, then sure, there's natural disappointment. But the truth is, in politics, you've got to accept the will of the people, and that's what the referendum was all about. It was a specific vote on a specific issue. It's now been decided, and our job is now to make sure that the UK has the best possible deal from the European Union for our businesses, for our communities, and for local people.
I mean, you say you're disappointed, but then you also changed your mind about it, didn't you? You sort of said, I'm a lifelong Eurosceptic. So what sort of happened on around the 22nd of February of this year? Suddenly, I don't know, you changed your mind?
Well, I think I'm a Eurosceptic. I joined the Conservative Party and got involved in politics to help save the pound. And part of David Cameron's deal did secure the future of the pound. So I was actually very happy with his deal, which is why I was very happy to vote Remain. I was also very happy to vote Remain because I didn't think the Leave campaign had actually set out a plan for what would happen if we actually left the European Union, and also the uncertainty that that might cause. But actually, the truth is, the people have spoken. We have to accept their decision and actually make the best of Brexit for the British people.
So you wouldn't if there was going to be a vote, say, on the terms of our leaving the European Union, you wouldn't support another referendum on that, would you?
Well, I don't think there's going to be a second referendum. We've had the one and only referendum that the former Prime Minister David Cameron promised us. A decision has been reached, and our job is now to execute the will of the people, which is to make sure that we have the best possible new arrangement with the European Union.
With all due respect, we're executing the will of the people based on a series of promises and, frankly, lies, really, aren't we? So actually, if we ask them again, based on a different set of, truths or different sets of facts and a reality of what our exit would mean, perhaps they would decide something different, rather like you.
Well, I think politics is about making sure that we respect the will of the people, and we have one referendum. There was no thresholds for turnout or for any other criteria. It was a straight, simple majority vote. 17 million people have voted to leave the European Union.
As opposed to the 16 million.
That's right, and it is quite tight, but actually in politics and in democracy, that counts. And it was actually a margin of more than 1 million, so it's a pretty clear majority. And actually we need to make sure we respect that. I think it would be ridiculous if we then in Parliament turned around and actually somehow tried to undercut the will of the people.
So the Irish are ridiculous, are they?
Well, I think this is a very different situation. I think that David Cameron promised a referendum of the whole country on a very specific issue. He was very clear that whatever the outcome would be, we would respect it, and the outcome is that we're leaving the European Union.
And you don't think that, there is a case at all to ask people, look, you voted because politicians promised you this would be the outcome if we, left the European Union, and this is the deal that we would get. Actually, this is the reality of the actual deal that we're going to get. Do you want to decide whether to take that deal?
Well, I think that referendum was a one-off, and individuals had lots of opportunities during the campaign, which was very passionate, quite a long campaign, to look into all the claims on both sides, and there were some big claims on both sides of the argument. It's up to individuals to make their own choice. The choice has been made, and our job is now to get on with the job.
I mean, you've used the terminology there, big claims. Other people would use the terminology, downright lies. Is that, is this really acceptable to kind of run campaign based on things that just aren't true? Are you not just fundamentally undermining people's kind of trust in what you do?
Well, I wasn't on the Leave campaign, so I can't really speak for their claims or what they may have said. But the truth is, in all campaigns, they're long. Individuals have an opportunity to look into all the claims, look into all the statistics, and actually make up their own minds. And in this country, we have a very engaged and pretty educated electorate. They did that. A decision has been reached, and our job is to make sure that we carry out the will of the people.
Well, let's be clear, it happened on both sides. There was scaremongering on both sides. Your former Chancellor saying he would enact some kind of punishment budget, claims like, there might be World War III, which is absolutely outrageous, isn't it?
Well, I don't think those specific claims were actually made. I think there was a lot of press hyperbole at the time.
Oh, okay.
But I think the reality is that there are lots of arguments on all sides, actually, lots of detailed arguments, lots of facts and statistics flying around. It's up to individuals to make up their own mind, as is the case in every election. Come to decision has been made, and our job is to get on with the job.
Okay, let's move on now. So let's talk about one of the biggest things there was immigration. Where do you kind of personally stand on freedom of movement and the levels of immigration that we've got in this country?
Well, I think we need to get the balance right between making sure that we don't have so much immigration that social cohesion and community relations are affected, but also we are an open, dynamic and successful economy that has been successful because we have welcomed immigrants from all around the country, whether it's from Europe, from Asia, from other parts of the Commonwealth, to make sure we have a strong, dynamic economy. So we need to get the balance right. But I think what came across clearly during the referendum campaign was the sense that actually we're having Eastern European immigration from the EU that was in a pace and a number that was too quick.
Do you agree with that sentiment?
Well, I think in some areas of the country that is certainly the case.
In Havant?
I don't think it's the case in Havant. Havant is not affected by large-scale immigration, nor particularly is the Solent area. But there are areas of the country, particularly in Lincolnshire, in East Anglia, there are many other examples where that was the case, and you'll find in those areas they did vote to leave.
And of course, one of the other things is how to put this. Yes, people feel that immigrants take their jobs. Do you think that immigrants take British people's jobs? No,
I don't think so. I think the reality is there's jobs for everybody. I held a job fair earlier this year in Havant. We had over 500 jobs available. There are lots of jobs across the whole country. We've got record levels of employment. But I think more importantly, there is a sense that the numbers of people coming in from Europe was too many, too fast, and actually we need...
So what is the right level then? You're a member of the Conservative Party who said in their 2010 manifesto, in their 2015 manifesto, they want immigration to be in the tens of thousands rather than the hundreds of thousands. Do you support that?
Yeah, that's very much our aspiration. It was in the manifesto. It's still the goal of the new...
It's not a commitment, it's an aspiration.
I think it's very much what we want to achieve. And I think as the new Prime Minister said at Prime Minister's Questions on Wednesday, that's very much our target. It's going to take longer than we expected. But actually, now that we're out of the European Union, we're probably going to have a stronger ability to control immigration into the country from the EU.
Yeah, I mean, the Conservative Party made that manifesto commitment twice in the full knowledge, I assume, that we are a member of the European Union, or did that fact escape them? And they've said, well, the reason that we can't control immigration is because we're part of the EU. Did it sort of elude them when they were making the manifesto commitment that we were a member of the EU? Did that sort of...
Well, we want to get immigration down to the tens of thousands. The deal that David Cameron secured from the European Union about reducing the ability of new immigrants to claim benefits would have actually slowed that down. I'm very confident of that. But the truth is we've had the referendum which supersedes that statement, which is that we're now leaving the European Union. We'll certainly have greater control over immigration from the EU. And actually,
will we?
Yeah, we will have greater control, combined with the greater control we already have from non-EU immigration. So I'm very confident we'll reach the target, but it will take longer than expected.
So you don't believe that when we kind of have to make an agreement with the European Union, because I mean, you're quite clear, and I think everyone's quite clear, that we're going to have to make a deal. If we want to be part of the single market, if we want to trade with the EU properly, we're going to have to make a deal with them. And the thing is with deals is that both sides have to kind of reach compromises. And so do you think that we'll have to accept free movement as part of that compromise?
Well, there's no doubt that we're going to have to make a deal with the European Union. We export a lot to the European Union. We want to have good relations with the European Union, both economically, culturally, diplomatically and militarily in many, many aspects. So it's very early days yet. It's only a month since the referendum, so very early days for our negotiations. We've just set up the Brexit department. Very early days in terms of negotiations, but I look forward to building a relationship that is good and positive, where both sides feel that they're getting a fair deal.
So that's not really an answer on free movement. Will we have to accept free movement?
Well, I think we will have to accept that we have to make a positive deal with the European Union. It's just too early to say what the specifics are. I think the unit's been set up. We've got a new Secretary of State, and Theresa May, our new Prime Minister, has gone to Europe for the first time since taking office.
But it could happen. We could just have to accept it.
I think that we are going to make a very positive deal with the European Union. We are traditionally very good allies.
And I've got a question from one of our viewers. Thank you very much for sending this in, by the way. And he says, what is more important, being a good constituency MP or getting a good job in government?
Well, I think first and foremost it's being a good constituency MP, and I think I've been incredibly accessible and visible throughout the constituency since I was being elected. I attend lots of community events, and I think the things that I'm most proud of would be the job fair that I organised in February and the Small Business Awards I organised in April. And today I went to visit a father and a daughter at the Horizon Leisure Centre in Havant, who both got jobs as a result of coming to my job fair, having both been looking for jobs before. So I think I'm making a real impact in the constituency. I think once you've got that sorted, then there are obviously other opportunities to do things nationally. But I also speak up about Havant nationally as well in the Chamber of the House of Commons, talk about the fact that we have record employment, very strong economy, very vibrant communities, very proud to stand up in the House of Commons to talk about Havant.
Alan Mak, thank you very much for coming. We'll have to wrap it up there. Thank you.